We've built an agent and have also used workflows to do multi-agent orchestration, all in Microsoft Agent Framework. Good job. But wait, how can we easily use these agents in Microsoft Foundry? I know. Let's use MCP. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kirk, and today we're going to be looking at MCP and how we can create MCP servers using Microsoft Agent Framework. Now, first, we're going to create a basic agent and expose it as an MCP server in Microsoft Agent Framework. Then, we're going to look at our work that we did previously in another tutorial where we used workflows in Microsoft Agent Framework to do multi-agent orchestration and see if we can use this work in workflows in Microsoft Foundry. Now, I know that sounds a little confusing, so we have to clarify what workflows mean in Microsoft Foundry and in Microsoft Agent Framework, as a lot of you have been asking me, hey, could I use workflows in Microsoft Agent Framework and Microsoft Foundry? And so we need to look at the difference between those workflows and answer that question. And of course, we're going to test it, we're going to actually use it, we're going to build it, we're going to have some fun. And maybe I should clarify what MCP is first, just a little bit of the basics, not go too deep into it, but let's make sure we're all on the same page. So maybe let's jump into that right now. In previous tutorials, we built AI agents using Microsoft Agent Framework. An agent will receive a task, will react, reason plus act, and will use tools to produce outcomes. We also looked at workflows, which define steps to give agents structure into how they think and act. But wait, how can we easily use these apps we built in Microsoft Agent Framework in other apps, such as Copilots or Microsoft Foundry? Enter Model Context Protocol, or MCP. MCP is a standard way for AI models to connect to tools, data sources, and services in a consistent, secure, and reusable manner. Think of it as a USB-C for AI tools. Now that we have an understanding of MCP, let's see how we can convert our app we built using Microsoft Agent Framework into an MCP server. This will allow our AI models that we have in other agents, example, in our Microsoft Foundry, to easily use our apps by calling tools via MCP. Let's get started. Welcome back. Okay, a while ago, when we first learned about Microsoft Agent Framework, we created a few demos here. We created a very simple agent here, and then we, of course, created an agent with a tool. And the tool we had here was get weather, which of course didn't actually go to the internet and get the weather. It just returned a string. But obviously you can fill this in with a RESTful call. And then we also did a reg tool here. So this was a tool that would go to our Azure AI search instance to retrieve information from a reg. So what we're going to do now is we're going to convert this agent to an MCP server. I'm just going to pick this basic one just to demo, the one with get weather. We could do the reg tool, but just to understand how easy it is to use Microsoft Agent Framework to create an MCP server, I'm going to pick this one. Okay, let's go ahead and convert this to an MCP server, the agent with tool. So what I've done is I've taken this file, agent with tool, and I just took it all and created another file and called it agent_MCP. And now we're going to convert this to an MCP server. And it's pretty simple. Actually, right here, so we've defined our tool, get weather. We've created our agent, and now it's as simple as calling server is equal to agent.asMCP server. Now we just have to set the MCP server to listen for incoming requests over standard input output. So let's do that. Let's create a run method here, and I'll explain this in a sec. We have that, and actually in our main here, let's get rid of this one, and let's run this in NEIO.run. Get my indentation here. OK, and then, of course, I need to get the proper imports here. Import NEIO and MCP Server. I am importing MCP Server, stdio, stdio server. I think this is it. Let's try running this. And I've already activated my virtual environment here. So let's go Python agent MCP. And this is running. Of course, I'm not outputting anything here. We don't know. We need to actually test this. I'm going to test using MCP Inspector next. OK, to run the Model Context Protocol Inspector, we just have to run this through npx. If you want to learn more, you can just go to the website modelcontextprotocol.io and look in the docs there. I'll have a link in my description. Now you just have to run this. It actually just runs through npx, and I'm just passing Python agent MCP. Let's do that. And this starts the MCP Inspector. And I can load it up here. And the transport type, we're just using standard input output here. Python agent MCP, and I'm just going to connect to it now. And there we go. And we can click list tools. Now this has unnamed agent. We'll fix that. Now I can just go tell me the weather in Toronto. Let's run this. The weather in Toronto is currently cloudy with a high of 20 degrees. And if we look at what we're running here, yes, indeed, it is returning high of 20 degrees. Let's just change this to make sure we're not going insane here. I'm going to have to bring this down and run this again. OK, yep, and then let's connect to this again. List tools. Pick our tool. Tell me the weather in Los Angeles. Run it. And yep, cloudy with a high of 15 degrees. Great. So we have a basic tool up and running. Let's see what we can do next. OK, the first thing I want to do is give this a name here, weather agent. It's important to have a good name for your tool and instructions, especially when you're using MCP. And you have to be careful with MCP, because if you start having an agent that is connected to a lot of MCP servers and the tools have similar names and descriptions, instructions, it's going to be a bit confusing. So use them sporadically. And let's also give this a bit more of a description. Your health assistant that gives weather based on input using the get weather tool. Simple enough. And let's run this again. Stop this. It is up and running again. Let's connect to it. List tools. And this time we have our weather agent. Great. Give me the weather for LA. Run. Weather for LA is currently cloudy with a high of 15 degrees. Great. OK, We are just running this over stdio. I want to start using server-side events, SSE, and that means we need to run it over HTTP. And the reason I want to do that is I want to actually expose on my local using Ngrok so we can start using it in Copilots and specifically in Microsoft Foundry, so I can show you when you're debugging how we can actually connect to our tools on our local machine and use it in Microsoft Foundry. So let's go ahead and start doing that process. Let's stop our inspector here. And what I've done is I've taken our agent MCP and I've just copied into this other file, agent MCP _ SSE. And we're going to make the changes here. And of course, all this code will be in my repo, and that'll be in the description below. So you can go ahead and take a look. And let's start converting this over to using SSE. First thing we want to do is after we create our server, is we want to do SSE server transport, and we need this messages, and we need to create a couple more functions here. And now we're going to run it in Unicorn here. So not in standard input output, but over HTTP, I'm picking port 8000. And we can get rid of run here. Oh yeah, we need to use Starlet. We need to have our 2 endpoints so we can run it over SSE. Let's get rid of this. OK, so here we go. We have our 2 endpoints, server-side events, which is we have this function here. A lot of this is code I just grabbed from the internet. Just so we can run this, but I just want to show you. And then the actual message processing is done here. And we're using Starlet here. This I need to actually include. So I need change this to server-side events. I don't think I need this anymore. Let's see if this actually runs. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up my MCP Inspector again. And agent _ MCP.sse.py. See if this runs. OK, this we're changing, of course, to SSE. I'm on port 8000. I think this is direct. We're not doing any authentication. Let's try this. I have an error. Let me see if I can fix this. OK, I forgot. I need to actually run this file. So I'm going to go in here and run Python agent MCP SSE in my virtual environment. And that is running now. So this is running over port 8000. Yes, port 8000. OK, so now we're got that running. Let's go back to our MCP Inspector, localhost 8000 SSE, connect. Connection error again. Oh, there we go. It is connected. Great. List the tools. Weather agent. Great. Let's try that again. Tell me the weather in Montreal. The weather in Montreal is cloudy with a high of 15 degrees. Great. That looks like it's running. Let's just try this again, just to make sure we're not going crazy. Let's stop this server as well. Just make our change. Let's make it. It's December, almost January, almost New Year's. Let's make it snowy with a high of 0 Celsius. Sorry to my American friends. I am using Celsius. Let's run this again. Let's run our MCP Inspector. Let's connect. List our tools, weather agent. Tell me weather in, let's just pick an American city randomly, Denver. Snowy at the high of 0 degrees. Great. So we have everything running. We have it over SSE. Next, let's look at what we've done. We've made some we've done a lot of good work using Microsoft Agent Framework, and we've been able to use workflows. And I'm wondering now if we can actually use these workflows in Microsoft Foundry. So that's next. Okay, now we are going to our agent and workflows. This was on another tutorial where we use Microsoft Agent Framework to create a workflow. And this one, we would pass in a location saying you are at the CN Tower. And we had 2 agents here running in workflow, one to figure out where you are based on your input, and then giving you some recommendations. So let me just run this again. Agent workflows, and we're passing in you are at the CN Tower, and obviously the city info is Toronto, and sunny with a high of 20, I think is the weather. So use the tool to figure out the weather, and then it gave us back some recommendations based on the fact that it's sunny and 20 degrees. So we did that. Actually, I can show you the diagram here as well. And this is our workflow in Microsoft Agent Framework. And we also did some work in another tutorial looking at Microsoft Foundry and looking at agents and workflows here. And a lot of you have been asking me, hey, can we have, like, what's the difference between these workflows and Microsoft Agent Framework? Well, I just said the key word there, framework. And these are different frameworks, so I can't just go in here and start creating a workflow and maybe people thinking that this workflow is the same as Microsoft Agent Framework. They're very different. So we have to figure out if we want to, like say we did a lot of great work, as I said, Microsoft Agent Framework, and we want to actually talk to that, why don't we expose this as an MCP server and then have this use it? So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken our agents and workflows file, and I've just copied it all into agents, MCP workflows, and now we're going to figure out how to expose this as an MCP server. And again, the code is in my repo. The link is in the description. I forgot to mention that, of course, we're still using all our Azure OpenAI endpoints in Azure Foundry here, our endpoint, our API key, and the model name, which is GPT-4o. Nothing here has changed. This is all the same as other tutorials, loading in our environment variables. Now we got to figure out what we want to do. So we just ran this, and of course, we created a workflow. We have 2 agents here, city info agent and the tourist recommendation agent, as in our workflow diagram here. Let's bring this file back up. And then we created our workflow. And let's get rid of this because we don't need this now. And we were streaming it, but let's see what we can do. So remember the last time we just created a server. And well, first we need to actually figure out if we can just convert this. And the good thing is from workflow, we can actually create an agent. So that's good. And you're thinking now we can probably just run this as an MCP server, right? Well, no, because this is actually a workflow agent. And all this is doing is getting input and output based on your workflow. So the workflow itself has agents. So the workflow has agents, which has tools, but If we were to run this as a server, which we can't, it wouldn't expose tools because it's just a workflow. If that makes sense, it's probably a little hard to wrap your head around. But so what can we do? So running that as an agent, and what we actually can do is we can actually run this agent as a tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a tool, and I'm going to name it Get Tourist Recommendations. And this is going to be a tool that gets recommendations for location, provided for where you are. So it's still going to be in the input of I'm at the CN Tower, and what it's going to do is it's going to go through the workflow we defined. This tool does, and it's going to go in there and give you the same recommendations that we just did. So now we have that. What we're going to do is we're going to wrap this in another agent. Let me get my indentation, call it this the tour guide agent. And we have our workflow tool here, pass in. I probably want to rename that workflow get tourists. I'll just leave it. Don't need to name it here, but you get the idea. So this agent is going to be our tourist guide agent. So we have that. And now we can do something that looks very similar to what we've done before. Is now that we have our wrapper agent, this we can run as an MCP server. And then we're still going to do SSE here, of course. We don't need all this stuff here. Do the same thing as I did before. I'm just going to take all this code. Okay, we have SSE here. And in our main here, yep, we are just going to run this. The same thing we did before in, I'm going to pick a different port here, 8001. Just give it a little bit of print statements here so we can actually see it running. Starlet, the same thing. So as server-side events, so we can run this over HTTP. And let me just make sure all my imports are good. There we go. Let's see if I can run this. Python, agents, MCP, workflows, .py. Oops, I have an error. Let me try to figure this out. Okay, I think I just need to get rid of this try statement here. Make sure if my indentation's all right. Probably need to, there we go. Let's see if this is fine now. If I can run this. Okay, there it is. It's running on port 8001. So that is good. Let's go and run MCP Inspector again. Agents, MCP workflows, .py. This is going to run up. Okay, there we go. SSE, port 8001. See if we can connect. I have an error. Let me see if I can figure this out. Of course, I figured out my problem here. I'm running this in the main method, which of course I don't need to do anymore. I need to have this all executed. And then let me do my indentation here. So let me see that. Okay, let's go here, run this again. Okay, that's running, so I think that's good now. Let's use our MCP Inspector again. This loads up. Port 8001, connect. There we go, list our tools. Let's see what we have here. And we have our tourist guide tool. Great. Let's look here. Where is that? Yes, so we have our agent, tourist guide. Yep, so we can run that. Let's try running this. You are at the CN tower. Run the tool. It is executing. And we have a result. Since you're at the CN tower in Toronto, here are some recommendations. Explore the CN tower. Ripley's Aquarium of Canada. Toronto Islands. Great. Rogers Center. Great. Let's try, you're at the Empire State Building. Empire State Building. So you're at the Empire State Building in New York, where the weather is sunny and pleasant, 20 degrees. And we can see that actually being executed. Yeah, so here it is. So this is our agent running on our machine, our workflow agent. You're at the Empire State Building where the weather is sunny and 20 degrees. And the high line is the recommendation. Great, so that's good. So now we have this running our workflow as an MCP server, which is pretty cool. And let's see if we can run this in Microsoft Foundry. Okay, next we need to expose our MCP server to the outside world. So of course we're going to use Ngrok. Actually, let me just turn off MCP Inspector right now. And I'm using Ngrok because remember, we are using server-side events. So this is over HTTP. So I can just go here and actually I'm using port 8001, right? Yes. So I have this running. And here's our URL, our free Ngrok URL. And let's go here to our Microsoft Foundry, the new portal here, ai.azure.com. And remember, we did some workflows here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to Tools, and we're going to connect a new tool. And we go to Custom here, and see here we have MCP. And we're going to go to Model Context Protocol. I'm going to call this Weather Information Formation for City. And the URL is our URL SSE. We're not doing any authentication, of course, in production, where we would be using authentication. And of course, I wouldn't be doing this over my local machine, but this is great for testing and debugging and playing with it. We would just deploy this probably in Python, then in maybe in a container, and then as a serverless container app. That's up to you as an architect to figure out. But let's do that. Let's connect. There we go. Let's use this in an agent. I created an agent here, test2. Let's just go here. I think I already had this. Yes, so we have tools, weather for information. You are a weather agent. Pass your request to the tool immediately so we can see if this is working. Let's give this a message. I'm at the Empire State Building. Empire State Building. Actually, let's do Eiffel Tower, something different. Eiffel Tower. And let's see if this runs. Okay, so this is, we're just going to prove this because now this is using human in the loop, this agent right now. And it's going to say I'm going to use this tourist guide tool, which we know is what we've exposed over MCP, which is great. So we can go approve. And let's see what we get here. It's currently sunny and 20 degrees at the Eiffel Tower. A beautiful day to enjoy the stunning views from the tower. Take some photos and stroll along the sign. And it's giving some recommendations. And did that run locally on my machine? Oh, here we go. We can actually see it. It ran. Eiffel Tower, perfect day. Take the stroll along the sign. The scene or the sign, river. I can't remember again how to pronounce that. I apologize. But there we go. We have it running against our local machine. So now we just have to figure out we can run that agent in a workflow. I'm not going to do that right now. We have this talking. So we can just take this and, of course, into our workflow if we wanted to. Actually, just to save that. Test 2. All right, that's it for today's tutorial on MCP and how we can create MCP servers using Microsoft Agent Framework and how we can use those in Microsoft Foundry. Now I know we just built an agent in Microsoft Foundry and we actually didn't create a workflow, but in other tutorials we did that. So maybe as an exercise for you, you could actually create a workflow that uses the agent that we created that talks to our agent in Microsoft Agent Framework. Yeah, so that was a little confusing, but I hope I clarified a lot of stuff here. If you found this helpful and you like it, please give it a like. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. Until next time, I'll see you then.